The War of 1812 was fought between the United States and Great Britain in the early 19th century. It is sometimes referred to as America's Second War for Independence. The first reason for fighting the War of 1812 was the British policy of impressment. Great Britain was capturing U.S. merchant ships and forcing U.S. sailors to serve in the British Royal Navy. They were claiming that these sailors were British sailors that had deserted. This practice angered the United States and helped to persuade many in the United States that the country should push for war. The second reason for fighting the War of 1812 was Britain restricting trade between the United States and Europe. Great Britain was at war with France in the early 19th century. They looked to weaken France by limiting its trading partners. Britain tried to use its navy against the United States to block U.S. trade with France and the rest of Europe. The U.S. itself, through the Embargo Act and Non-Intercourse Act, had already tried to limit trade with France and Great Britain, but many people had ignored these restrictions. Many Americans viewed attempts to restrict U.S. trade by Great Britain as an extension of British colonial rule. The third reason for fighting the War of 1812 was U.S. expansion and tension with the Native Americans living on those lands. More and more settlers from the U.S. began to push west after the Louisiana Purchase. As these settlers pushed west and occupied this land, they competed for resources and territory with Native Americans that were living on these lands. This led to conflict among the U.S. and the Native Americans. Many of the settlers in the U.S. believed that Great Britain was aiding the Native Americans in these conflicts. They also believed that if the British were removed from Canada, it would diminish the settlers' problems with the Native Americans. The association between the Native Americans and Great Britain rallied support for war against Great Britain.